Hi everybody, David Paul here in the KHOU 11 Weather Center in Houston, Texas. This is your Tuesday evening, October the 5th, Atlantic Tropical Update. We've got a couple of spots we are watching in the tropics, the remnants of Sam, and then a new tropical wave off the Carolina coast is interesting, maybe not too dangerous, but interesting in that it may have impacts for Florida, Georgia, the Carolinas. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out. We take a look at where we are. 20 named systems so far. Only one name left on the list. That is Wanda. If we get past Wanda, we would go to our supplementary names list. So where are we compared to a normal season here on this 5th of October? Well, we've had 20 named storms. Normally we get 14 in an entire season, and we still have a chunk of this season left to go. So we're well ahead on the number of named systems. We've had 7 hurricanes. That's normal for an entire season. So ahead of schedule officially, but we haven't broken above normal yet. Normally in an entire season we get 3 majors. We've had 4 major hurricanes, with Sam being the last of the majors so far. Here's the season map. Where are we? Here's October the 5th. So, we've got a third of the season left to go. It ends November 30th, although you will notice there's still a little bit of activity on the heat map, even going into December, January, February, March, April, May, June. We've had tropical systems that have actually spanned December into January. That's happened before, so we've had them in every month. It's just that most of the activity is here between June and the end of November. So on October 5th, we've still got statistically a chunk of the season left to go. We'll see how it plays out. In October, typically, if you're going to get a system developing, it's in the western Atlantic off the east coast, Bahamas, western Caribbean, or eastern Gulf of Mexico. So this is the spot we would most likely see development. And in fact, the spot we are watching for potential development is sitting right there over the Gulf Stream, in a spot we would expect this time of year to get activity. What I don't want to see right now is anything developing here in the western or central Caribbean or in the Gulf of Mexico, because very typically this time of the year we're getting these troughs digging down, and it will pull whatever forms here due north, perhaps into the United States. But so far so good. At the moment, nothing brewing, nothing forecast to brew in the Caribbean or the Gulf over the next several days. Obviously, though, we keep an eye on it as we're still in a statistically busy time of the season. Now, off the East Coast, we've got this spot out here. There's a 10% chance that this wave develops into a tropical depression or tropical storm. But that's all it is right now, is a wave, an open wave. These are surface wind contours, and I've drawn in or highlighted the way the wind is moving, and you can see we've got a trough access setting up from the Bahamas into the Atlantic Ocean. Here's a closer view. You can see the wave. So if this were a closed low, you'd see the streamlines curly-cueing back on themselves and making a closed low 360-degree circle. But we don't have that right now. What we have is this open waviness. So from Nassau to Marsh Harbor out into the open Atlantic, there's your trough access right now, where the winds come up and then begin to bend back to the down. What you'll also notice, if you're clever and you look carefully, we've got this wave, but look at the way the clouds are moving. Watch again. See which way they're moving? So even though we've got surface winds that are blowing east to west in general, there are winds aloft that are blowing in exactly the opposite direction. You see this? They're blowing west to east. So what we've got set up here is a tropical wave that is in a sheared environment. Here are those upper level winds at 250 millibars, about 34,000 feet or so. And coming across from Marsh Harbor, Nassau, where that wave's developing, we've got winds coming out of the west. Those westerlies are creating upper level wind shear, and that's most likely what is going to keep this system from developing. It is the big reason why there's only a 10% chance that it develops over the next 5 days. The wave down here is developing in a sheared environment, which makes it very unlikely for development. And the shear is coming from this upper level low near Memphis, Tennessee. And you can see the winds, the shear is much more pronounced across Atlanta and Jacksonville. Again, these are upper level wind flows up at 34,000 feet. But as these systems try to develop, the upper level winds, as we've shown you over the season, are incredibly important. For a storm to develop, be a healthy hurricane, if you will, it needs to be vertically stacked. They're surface-based low pressure systems. Warm air feeds in off the warm waters of the ocean. They rise up through the vertical column, and then the exhaust out the top. And everything needs to be stacked just perfectly right on top of each other to get a system to rapidly intensify. You put in that wind shear that we're seeing over this little wave right now, and what does it do? It tilts everything over. It interrupts that circulation as it tries to build vertically. It's tilted over, it interrupts that, disturbs it, and you get a system that is weak or doesn't form at all. So let's look at the computer models on this stuff. Now this is interesting because what there is of that at the surface is going to sit here and fester for several days, and maybe something can try to form down here, maybe just a rainmaker. So here we are Tuesday evening, and you can see the American model in yellow and the European model in red. They've found the trough. There's a trough axis right in here. Let me pick a different color. There we go. There's our trough axis. Axes. We'll put this in motion, go forward in time to Thursday, so a couple of days out, and we still have this little wave, this troughiness sitting off the east coast. There's the trough axes. And that type of a setup would probably bring some rain to the coast of the Carolinas, Charleston to Myrtle Beach, to the Outer Banks, maybe Raleigh, maybe Columbus, South Carolina. Maybe you get some scattered showers that far inland. Let's go forward in time a little bit more, going into Friday of this week. And so the Euro actually tries to form a very broad, weak area of low pressure, an actual closed low. When I see it that broad, I'm not really overly convinced anything big is going to happen. The American model in yellow does not quite close off, but it has a little bit more pronounced wave off the east coast. So that's going into Friday. So, what's out here is not just going to vanish because of that wind shear. It's going to fester. Let's go further out in time. So Saturday, Sunday, and the American actually does close off a little low there, while the Euro goes back to just an open wave. So something very weak is going to just sit here and fester, and there is some warm water over the Gulf Stream out here, so it's not out of the question that something, it may just be a weak tropical low, not even a depression that forms, but something's trying to get going down here, the wind shear keeping it from really forming. But I think this most likely is a rainmaker of some sort. As we go into Monday of next week, so almost a week out, what there is of this kind of moves inland. Here's your trough axis moving inland. So this would be a bit of a rainmaker, unsettled weather, scattered showers, thunderstorms from Jacksonville up to Charleston, South Carolina, up to Myrtle Beach. That is the most likely outcome right now for our little spot out here. It's not even an invest at the moment, but that's what you're looking at off the east coast right now. Okay, what about Sam? So Sam, just the remnants of Sam right now, remnant low pressure up here across the North Atlantic. So that's the sun on the backside of the planet shining down on Japan and China and Russia right now. We're on the dark side of the planet right now. So there's the remnant low of Sam. You see the path that he took? West coast of Africa, right on across the Atlantic, up and then up into the North Atlantic. There's the track. You can see that more clearly by looking at sea surface temperature anomaly as far as the heat content goes. There's the track of Sam, and you can see, look at the little channel, a little carved out, that scar of cooler water now right across the path of Sam. As these big hurricanes, remember Sam was Cat 3, Cat 4 at one point moving through that part of the of the Atlantic. They will upwell cooler waters underneath them from deep below the surface of the ocean, and so you'll get these, I call them scars, they show up like a scar, these cool tracks across the Atlantic basin that show up, and they'll stay like that for sometimes weeks on end. In fact, you can see the scar right here. That's the scar that Hurricane Larry left during the first part of the month of September, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 of September as it moved through. That scar upwelled cooler water from underneath, and it's left a section of cooler water in the ocean heat content. Always interesting to see. So what is the remnant low of Sam going to do? Well, it will continue to weaken, remnant low, do a little loop-de-loop up here south of Reykjavik, Iceland, and then impact the North Sea as we head over the next several days. It's not going to redevelop. Sea surface temperatures are quite cold up here, 50s and 40s. Here's a look at the way the rain and snow and the jet stream are going to interact with what's left of Sam. So snow at the higher elevations across Iceland, a little snow off the coast of Greenland, rain for the northern British Isles and Scandinavia, and we'll push this even further out into time. This is going into this coming Thursday, the 7th, and that's the upper level winds added in as well. But this is going to create quite a windy, chilly weekend for the British Isles. All the soccer games, especially on Sunday, are going to be windy and chilly and probably light rain and drizzle blown by that wind across Great Britain and across Scandinavia as well as we head into this coming Sunday and Monday. Winter coming to Northern Europe. So we spin the globe back to the United States. So this is the way the upper level pattern looks across North America, most of it right now. We've got this upper level low bringing unsettled weather to the east, southeast U.S. and bringing dry weather to Texas and Oklahoma. Houston's had low humidity and delightful weather because of the northerly flow out of that. But this upper level wind pattern is one that's kind of stuck. So what that means is we will continue to see what we've seen the past several weeks. We're going to be trophy out west. This is going into this weekend. So that's cooler and wetter out west. And we are ridgy in the eastern half of the United States. That's warm and dry. That's just the southern branch. Look how the northern branch breaks off. That's a big ridge over the eastern half of Canada. It does depict some rain, but that is above normal temperatures continuing into the weekend for at least the eastern half of Canada, Quebec, Hudson Bay. Colder in the northwest portion of Canada. You see snow coming in there to portions of the Klondike and Alaska. That's Saturday. Let's push forward in time. Jet stream re-evolves into the same pattern. And quite often you will see this. Once a pattern sets up, it can kind of get stuck and kind of repeat itself over and over again for a couple of weeks in a row. Sometimes it goes out a month or more. So going into next Tuesday, a week out, it's the similar pattern. Another trough digs into the western United States. That's a significant snowmaker for the northern Rockies, especially of Utah into Idaho, Montana. And then look to the east. We're ridgy. That ridge, that rainbow, you get underneath that ridge of high pressure and it's warm and typically dry. And then the northern branch, big ridge across the eastern half of Canada. So again, Quebec, Hudson Bay area, east half of Canada, unusually warm weather continues here. This trough should allow some chilly air into the western half of Canada. Let's go further out in time. Look at how that low curlicues up into Canada. And you can literally draw a line right down that trough axis. West of it, cold, snow. Trough axis. Draw that again. East of it, warmer. Temps well above normal. Quebec, east half of the United States down to Florida. And it's not just me. NOAA is seeing the same thing. Temps below average western United States for the next several days. That's their 8 to 14 day outlook, much above average for the eastern half of the U.S., 8 to 14 days out. It's all because of that jet stream pattern. That's why we track it every day. Okay, leave me a comment. We read them all. Thank you for the comments. Questions, leave them or hit us up on social, and we will see you for another update tomorrow.